Now, one of the problems underlying the climate change debate is that whatever the majority of scientists say about global warming, a lot of people remain sceptical about whether climate change is really man-made. Well, we decided not to send our ethical man to Copenhagen. Instead, we thought we'd leave him in the cold outside his house.
Yeah, that's right. No glamorous locations for me. I'm actually broadcasting from right outside my own house. And what a day to try and prove the science of global warming. It's absolutely freezing. It's raining now, but it was snowing earlier. But as you heard, there are just 2 days left for the world to try and come to some kind of agreement at Copenhagen. Just 2 days of negotiations left. But back here in Britain, and the opinion polls show that almost half of us don't actually believe that man is causing global warming, although virtually the entire scientific establishment does. So Newsnight decided to conduct its own very unscientific experiment, and we've invited members of the public and people who've been in the Top Gear audience round here to my house. Hello, everybody. We've given them mince pies and mulled wine in traditional festive spirit, and earlier today we also invited 2 top British scientists round and challenged them to prove global warming right here in my kitchen. So could they do it? We'll see what you think. Well, Dr. Maggie set the experiment up here in my kitchen. The audience are here. So some of you are quite sceptical about the science of global warming. I know you are, Philip, aren't you?
Yeah, I tend to be, if you can't see it, I don't believe it. But there's so much pressure to do something. You know, I've got the mandatory brick in the toilet and, you know, I turn the things off standby. But I sometimes believe it's, you know, is it government? Is it... I just don't know. But at the same time, I don't really believe it. Yeah, because so many people say...
There's a lot of doomsday scenarios presented, aren't there? I mean, do other people feel that maybe they're not getting the whole story on global warming?
I feel that. I feel as though you're never quite sure who you can believe here. There's all sorts of pressures, different pressures from different people, so it's actually quite difficult to make a reasoned judgment.
In the news we hear all about global warming, and they always just emphasise the man-made aspect of it, and we don't really hear about the natural global warming which might be occurring, so we don't get a balanced argument.
So there is quite a bit of scepticism I get about the science here, and that broadly reflects what the overall population in Britain say to polling companies. So let's see whether we can prove the science of global warming right here in my kitchen. Maggie, over to you. You're going to prove the science of global warming.
So what I have here is I have 2 bottles, you know, normal water bottles, emptied out the water, taken off the labels, and I've put a temperature probe in each of the bottles. And then you can see the temperature here. So I've got 21.2 and 21.4. So about the same. Now what I've been doing for the last sort of 20 minutes is generating carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is very easy to generate. I've got some baking powder here, some bicarbonate of soda. And if you add some vinegar to that, you get
Don't make a mess, mate.
It's your kitchen. See, you can see it all fizzing up. The gas that's been released is carbon dioxide. Squish that up together.
Oh, I see.
Yep. Slip that in. Now, I think this isn't exhausted yet, so hopefully I'll get some more coming out. Thank you. The hose. Put that in.
So this is an experiment that, in theory, people could do at home?
Yes, and that's why I like to do it this way. So this bottle is normal atmospheric air. This bottle is atmospheric air, but with a greater concentration of carbon dioxide. OK, so I've got my 2 atmospheres. What I need now is I need some sunshine. So rather than using sunshine, what I'm going to do is just use these lamps. So now, 3, 2, 1. Turn on the lamps.
Right, so those lamps are little artificial suns.
That's it.
Heating your little atmosphere.
Yeah, so you can see these as 2 different planets. One just normal Earth, and one Earth possibly in the future with more carbon dioxide.
Right, OK.
And then what we'll do is we'll monitor the temperature. So we're already getting a temperature change. They're both going up.
Which one's which?
OK, so the top one is the carbon dioxide.
Right.
And so what I need to do is wait for a while, and we'll see.
Oh dear, the Earth is hotter than the carbon dioxide, maybe.
Actually, we need to give it a few minutes.
Yeah,
so,
OK, yeah. We could disprove global warming right here in my kitchen. And I think if we look at the screens, you can see, is that right, Maggie? You're getting more of a...
So yeah, this is 28, so we've got nearly a 4-degree difference between the 2 now.
So that was in about 10 minutes.
And it's interesting to know that obviously things are happening. You could see ice melting in the North Pole and so on and so forth. I mean, how do we know how much is being caused by man increasing and how much is natural?
4/5 of the Earth's surface is sea. And so we can actually correlate some levels of carbon dioxide associated with land masses, associated with northern hemisphere rather than the southern hemisphere. So we can actually look at emissions of carbon dioxide and associate it with certain areas on Earth. And it seems that the more industrial areas are giving out more carbon dioxide.